supposed to be. And my friends, it's largely in danger, not because of you, you're holding it together, but because of what we see going on in big box operations and in retail side. And now we're watching labor replaced by technology. Wawa just announced 16 stores are not going to have cashiers. They're going to have kiosks checkout. There are jobs that are going to be lost. And I offer this comment to you, and I'm going to be very brief, because I don't want to put this in a context of a political party. Because your focus is not Democrat and Republican. Your focus is keeping people working. But I can tell you this, and I mean this, your influence at the State House is very, very pronounced. You have worked hard to support people, and let me extend a thank you for myself, for Assemblyman Burzichelli. Steve was here yesterday. You know, the Democrat majority we have does not happen if it had not been for the support of organized labor across the state. It just would not have happened. And in return, you're able to advance issues that mean something to your ability to negotiate for wages and to keep your people working. And I want to tell all of you that it's fragile, that if there's a change in the State House, New Jersey could become the 39th right-to-work state. It can happen with a stroke of a pen. Project labor agreements could be gone. And that's why it's important to pay attention. So when you speak to your members about this election coming, and I'm going to tell you, there's no enthusiasm about this election. I don't know why. I don't know if people are fatigued from the last presidential race. I don't know if it's because of the results of us trying to get through this pandemic. But I don't sense any excitement, which is concerning, which means fewer people are going to vote in this gubernatorial race than traditionally would. And when only a few people vote and make a decision for the majority, sometimes bad things happen. And the consequences can be felt for years. And that's why it's important to pay attention. So when you're talking to your membership about voting, and they may push back and say, well, I don't like Democrats. I use this as an example because I happen to be a Democrat. I consider myself a John Kennedy Democrat. If they push back and say, well, I don't like Democrats, you have to stop for a moment and realize that they are being influenced by what they're seeing out of the nation's capital, which is not what's happening in Trenton. And you have to speak to them. Well, I shouldn't say you have to. You'll make your own decisions in that respect. But the message is, they got to be focused on what's happening in the State House and how it affects their paycheck and their ability to have a job. And so that's where the focus has to be. So it's not about Democrat, Republican, it's about state policy. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to say it loud and clear, that this governor has been a friend of labor. He has done everything you have asked him to do. And yes, he and Steve occasionally have disagreements. I've been in the room for some of those. And frankly, if that's front row seat, it's been pretty interesting. But it's always been honest discussion. But this governor has a good track record with labor, and this legislature does as well. And with Steve Sweeney as Senate President and Craig Coughlin as Speaker, it'll continue that way. But if we're not there, and others are sitting there, and I'm not suggesting they're bad people, but their interests are not aligned with where labor wants to be. We need more people working, but we need people working with a wage they can live on. If the household is strong, the state is strong. And we have to stay focused on that. So as you speak to your members, and if they push back and say, well, I don't like what I'm hearing out of Washington, the wackiness of the Democrats on the left, and this on the right, that's part of life, but you have to remind them. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the State House, we're talking about state policy that affects your ability to negotiate for wages and your ability to keep your people working. And that goes on public projects and everything associated with the schools we're going to build, the roads we're going to build, and all the new facilities will be coming from this infrastructure money. So my friends, please stay focused. And the message to your members is real simple. It's about your paycheck. It's about where you go to work and your opportunity to work. And I will say to all of you, having had a front row seat, I'm in the legislature 22 years. That's a real decent piece of time. That's 22 years with no indictments. In New Jersey, that's pretty good. It is a time to stay focused. And in this election, with such little interest being generated, it's very, very important that your voice, collective voices from these locals, gets heard at the ballot. So please, please, do the best you can to separate what's coming out of Washington against what you need to do in this state. And that's keep this legislature in place, leadership in place, this governor in place, so you have the best chance to have an environment where you can successfully negotiate a contract, keep your people working, train new people, bring more people into the movement, because my friends, we have a lot of work to do, and the American labor voice has got to speak up. Thank you, everyone.